Well, as we reminded you, it is April 19th, which means tomorrow is 420, dude. This is traditionally the day that marijuana activists mark as a day of activism. There's a lot less activism perhaps that is necessary now because weed has been legalized in a lot more places. Andy Serwer wrote about that in his weekend column, and our editor-in-chief is joining us now. Andy, so you wrote about not just the wave of legalization that we've seen, but all the different ways in the market now to play it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's an interesting, wild and woolly environment, of course, Julie. And, weed stocks had their moment 2 years ago with Canopy, Tilray, and Aurora. We remember that. Then they crashed. They were wildly unprofitable, still not profitable. They've come back a bit. And that's the Canadian LPs. They're called the Canadian Licensed Producers. That's one group of companies. There's another group of companies called MSOs, which are multi-state operators here in the United States. They can't list on exchanges in the US, and they can't really bank here either. So they have to do things through Canada and then list on the pink sheets here. So that's sort of a bifurcated market, and people have different opinions on which group is a better way to play. Over time, it'll probably work out, but right now it's got its ups and downs.
Well, and Andy, in here we've got a Wrigley Air doing a SPAC to get involved in the weed place. I mean, it's still, from my vantage point, looking at very vanilla, plain, good old fashioned U.S. listed equities, it still feels like the Wild West in terms of how someone would want to invest in this space and how trustworthy and how believable a lot of this stuff is.
Yeah, I think so. Just to take a step back, Myles, we don't have national legalization of marijuana. It's gone on a state-by-state basis. A lot of activity, as Julie mentioned. We've got about 18 states have legalized. We may even get as many as 4 more this year. But the real key is to get some sort of federal legislation. And no one is suggesting you're going to get federal legalized marijuana anytime soon. It's not going to happen this year, even with President Biden, who, by the way, is not for legalization of marijuana, even with a Democrat in the White House, even with the Democrats in control of the House and the Senate. What you will probably get, and this is to your point, Myles, is a banking act. There's a bill proposed called the Safe Banking Act, and that would essentially allow these companies in the United States to begin to bank legally. At that point, the thinking is that these companies could begin to list on the U.S. exchanges, particularly, of course, the NYSE and the NASDAQ. And once that happens, we're off to the races. But the problem is what you saw in Canada was so much money floods into the space that these companies just, start to do ridiculous things and become unprofitable businesses. And that's not great for investors, highly speculative. And you've got everyone and their brother involved in this business with the SPACs and with the crazy celebrities. Of course, Snoop's involved maybe, and of course, Willie Nelson's involved, and all manner of people. So you got to watch yourself, and that's why maybe an ETF here and holding it for a long period of time might make sense. But if you're a trader and you like to play these stocks, they're a lot of fun. Just it's got to be your kind of fun money.